Nite for standing up against the harmful stereotypes that have been perpetrated against the men. I come here to represent myself and a few. We living in a century where we living on lies. Society said the hurdles and we have to comply. We gonna pay with dues, we don't get reviews. Not for we get broken and we fall into the news. But it's all the brothers said we gonna take a stand. Representing hope, rebuilding the brand. We gonna take a brother hand in hand. Empower, elevate every boy, every man. Learn me. I just want to reveal my light slowly. Look close, you're gonna see a better man. Learn me. I just want to reveal my light slowly. Look close, my friend. I have a right, I have a right, I have a voice, I have a voice. Make it right, make it right. We don't have to fight this. I have a right, I have a right, I have a voice, I have a voice. Make it right, make it right. We don't have to fight this. My brother say we here for you. I understand the struggle cause I've been there too. No definition that could come by you. All the belly men are pain that they put way through. But look up on the horizon. See mankind winning and rising. Rejecting, coming and fighting. Oh Lord, this is so exciting. Learn me. I just want to reveal my light slowly. Look close, you're gonna see a better man. Learn me. I just want to reveal my light slowly. Look close, my friend. I have a right, I have a right, I have a voice, I have a voice. Make it right, make it right. We don't have to fight this. I have a right, I have a right, I have a voice, I have a voice. Make it right, make it right. We don't have to fight this. We living in a century where we living on lies. Society said the hurdles and we have to comply. We gonna pay with dues, we don't get reviews. Not for we get broken and we fall into the news. But it's all the brothers said we gonna take a stand. Representing hope, rebuilding the brand. We gonna take a brother hand in hand. Empower, elevate every boy, every man. Learn me. I just want to reveal my light slowly. Look close, you're gonna see a better man. Learn me. I just want to reveal my light slowly. Look close, my friend. I have a right, I have a right, I have a voice, I have a voice. Make it right, make it right. We don't have to fight this. I have a right, I have a right, I have a voice, I have a voice. Make it right, make it right. We don't have to fight this. Chat production. We don't play. You've been faithful, Lord. You've been faithful.
Oh Lord, I'm glad you know my pain. You set my heart aflame. You set my feet on a solid rock to stay. I'm glad I've made this choice. You've given me a voice, and now I can rejoice.
Watch it cool move. They call me Mr. Diligent. When me meet a piece of Lord, I'm dining with the president. Thankful for my warriors who pray me through the testament. Calling on my warriors, calling on my warriors. Everything me put me hands to doing it for 100. Time to praise the Lord, we say we praising him for 100. Working in the ministry, we working it for 100. Working it for 100. Working it for 100. Everything we put we hands to doing it for 100. Time to praise the Lord, we say we praising him for 100. Working in the ministry, we working it for 100. Working it for 100. Working it for 100.
Oh Lord, I'm glad you know my pain. You set my heart aflame. You set my feet on a solid rock to stay. I'm glad I've made this choice. You've given me a voice, and now I can rejoice.
DJ, turn that music up, yes, turn it up louder. Never make it stop, take the message to the border. This This is how we do it, cause we talk the truth to power. Walking in the spirit, walking in the water. Happy that we bled. Full 100, walking in forgiveness. Full 100, healing from disease. Full 100, totally redeemed. Full 100, strength to the youth. Full 100, friendly with the truth. Full 100, free from oppression. Full 100, always on a mission. Full 100.
I'm glad you know my name. You set my heart aflame. You set my feet on a solid rock to stay. I'm glad I've made this choice. You've given me a voice, and now I can rejoice.
Watch his groove. They call me Mr. Diligent. When me ways are please the Lord, I'm dining with the president. Thankful for the warriors who praise me through the testament. Praise me through the testament. Praise me through the testament. Everything we put we have to doing it full 100. Time to praise the Lord, we say we praising him full 100. Working in the ministry, we working it full 100. Working it full 100. Working it full 100. Everything we put we have to doing it full 100. Time to praise the Lord, we say we praising him full 100. Working in the ministry, we working it full 100. Working it full 100. Working it full 100.
I'm glad you know my name. You set my heart aflame. You set my feet on a solid rock to stay. I'm glad I've made this choice. You've given me a voice, and now I can rejoice.
Good evening. I'm Mike at Nite. Glad to have you all there. Good to have you all. And those who have been fans for the years past, we welcome you. As you may know by now, tonight is the final show for the year. And then we go into 2026. God's willing, if God wishes for us to be around to see 2026. And also, if it so happens that the Lord tarries according to the old people. Alright, so let's get going. Just give me one moment and I'll be right back with you. As we said that this is the final program for the year, we go into 2026. I want to thank all of my fans, all of my friends, all of those who have been visiting with us from time to time. It has been so good having you all. So we're closing it off so that everybody could have a respite. I want to thank my sister Diane Robinson, who has been one of my greatest backers. And I see her, she's on this evening. That's so nice. Nicole Guy, hey, good to have you. Who do we have? Wayne Hackett, all the way from the United States. Kenneth Hodge, Trinidad. Boy, I tell you, thank you very much. You guys have been here almost every single program. Josiane from St. Lucia, thank you very much. And, well, I see you wearing yellow, Josiane. Ha! Hey, Josiane Bellat, congratulations to your government retaining power in St. Lucia. Timothy Benjamin, good evening to you. So everybody, nice having you all. So we're going to talk about this thing called body count. Body count. All right. So what is body count? I'm sure that you all would have heard about body count already. Eh? So we just going it over. Though I've met people who said, what is body count? They never even heard about it. Wow. Imagine that. Alright, so we're going to talk about it so that we'll give some people who are not very schooled in it a lesson as to what it is all about. So body count, though, some people have it for different meanings. Body count happens to be the number of sexual partners that a person may have had over a period of time. So those sexual partners, whether it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that you may have had. Now that is important because that has a lot to do, and we're going to talk about that today, this evening. How it has a lot to do with relationships and perceptions in relationships. But I want us to be able to put some balance into it, because we think that sometimes somebody who has a large body count, a large number of sexual partners, might be somebody who does not have much value. We make it a value issue, and I don't want us to make it a value issue, because it is not necessarily a value issue. Because you may have somebody who would have had a high body count and probably tell themselves, hey, listen, this is not really working, and straighten themselves. Or there are some people with one body, 2 people, but as a person, they're really not very whole as a person. So I wanted to make that distinction. And there are some people innocently with a number of body counts. They may have been raped a number of times. They may have been abused a number of times. So it is not a value system. But it is enough for us to be able to investigate, to figure out what are some of the issues that would come up whenever we have a body count, for those who are willingly and generally going into this body count, high body count, because some people seem to be taking pleasure in it. I shared with the program some time ago when I was watching Newlyweds, which is a television show, and on Newlyweds they had they asked the man, how many sexual partners would you say that your new bride has had? So he's asked this one-on-one. She's not in the room, as if for those who know the program. So you have to guess, and if you guess the exact answer of the person, then that gives you a certain amount of credit or points or what have you. So if you are off, then do you really know your partner? And this question came up. So he said 3, the most 4. That's what he said. 3, the most 4. All right. So once she comes within that, then this would have been given them marks as one of the things that they would have had, because they would have had a series of questions. When she came in and they asked her now, and he's in the presence of the lady, and the question was posed to her, how many partners have you had in your life, sexual partners? Without batting an eye, she said 20. The gentleman opened his eyes, his mouth widened, he was shocked. 20, he said. You said 20. You know you said 20? And she held him out, and because she said that probably she felt that he must have known that I've had plenty people. He may not have known the exact number, but at least he must have known. Boy, and a quarrel ensued on air. They had to go to a break because of that. So clearly, a high body count brings some form of shock to people. It does not come across too pleasant, I think. Now, the ironic thing is, men generally, not all men, pride themselves in high body counts because it gives them experience. And some ladies have said that they want a man who has experience. They don't want a man who does not know his way around in the bed. So some men go and get the experience. So it is given less of a stigma whenever it's a man with a high body count, but it is stigmatized whenever it is a woman with a high body count. And I'm not saying that one is better than the next. I'm saying that to say that a high body count in a man, the woman should also have a high body count without having a stigma. I'm not saying so at all. I think both of them they would have some issues to answer in their lifestyle and the way how they're operating. Okay, so that was one of the things that came up there, and in dealing with it, when they went to the break, clearly, from my anticipation, that was the end of that marriage, because he was so upset. That certainly was the end of the marriage. Okay, my people, rock and come in. We're talking today, the last day, so you gotta make sure you come in on this one. Kenneth Hart say, oh no, that is so sad. Can we not go down to the wire? Oh, you're talking about Lee. I thought it was so sad about this story about the lady. Go down to the wire. Boy, I tell you, there are so many things coming up for December, Kenneth. And thank you very much for your desire for us to go down to the wire. But you know, we have Old Year's Night coming up. We have Ladies Fellowship coming up on Sunday. On Saturday, we have over 100 and something ladies coming up from Trinidad and Tobago and from St. Lucia coming for the Ladies Fellowship. And then we have Joint Fellowship Wednesday on Sunday. So we have so many activities taking place straight into New Year's. So I would need to ration my time. But thank you very much for your sincere desire for us to have gone further. Christelle, I'm not sure what Christelle is saying. No, I have not. I guess Christelle is saying no, she does not know what body count is. I'm not sure. Rose Petal, good evening. Pamela Martin, good evening. Happy Thankful Thursday. Same to you. Yes, sweetheart, you are late. The time change got to you, alright. Joanne Benjamin, good evening. Avril, good to see you. Avril, what country are you in again? Kenneth says 20. That sounds like mass transit. Well, yes, there are people. Actually, let me tell you, from researching this topic, there are some people with much more than 20 people. And when you find that there are people who have all 13 children, men in particular, all over the place, clearly they have more than 20 partners to have 13 children, most likely. And there are people who have claimed to have more than 50 partners in their life, sexual partners. Yep. So, Shania Lewis. Oh, Joy cannot log in. Alright. Tell Joy we said hello. So, that's the reality of it, my people. That's the world we are living in. But let me tell you this. The danger about this is, because we've been grappling with HIV and AIDS, and we were able to bring the numbers down and the incidence of occurrences down, within recent times it is reported that there has been an increase. So we are back up in numbers, and it might be because of the body count situation that we have. Might be, not necessarily it is, because you may find that one of the things that we'll have coming up is the whole talk about your health, your HIV status, and so on. But I don't want us to get carried away that somebody who is promiscuous and has a high body count is the one who will have HIV and AIDS and some of these sexually transmitted diseases. There are people who, for the first time they've had sex and they get it. They have one partner and they get it. So that's why I want to put a balance on the discussion as we're going along. But we do have an increase in HIV and AIDS in society. Alright, Christelle did not know what body count meant. It means the number of sexual partners that you have. So everybody online, just think back of the number of sexual partners. I'm not going to ask you to post it. And see how many you come up with. 4, 5. I think the ideal that God wanted was one sexual partner. The first time you have sex, you're supposed to be married to the person and you're supposed to stay married. That was God's intention. And then all of these sexually transmitted diseases would have been most likely whittled out of sight. Alright? So, how many do you have? 3, 4? Think back hard. We now have children, certainly in our country, where 14-year-olds are found in the bathroom of their schools having sex. Their body count starting at 13 and 14. Could you imagine that? At 13 and 14, what were we doing, those of us my age? What were we doing at 13 and 14? Trying hard not to bring last in tests so that we don't get licks. That is what I was doing. I don't know about you. Okay, that was it. I didn't have sex while I was a teenager. I can tell you that part. I'll tell you that much. I didn't have sex in my teenage life. Yes. If all you want, all you could post the first time you have sex. If all you really want a comment on the show, just post the first time you have sex. Don't post how many you have had sex with. How old were you when you first had sex? After all, it's the last show for the year now, and let me spice it up. Alright? So, while you all are posting that, so we explained what body count is, and I wanted us to be able to accept the caveat that I put there. So don't put value on a person because of their body count, because that's not the direction we are going. So I want to just give us some issues that rise because of body count, and part of it is, we have these friends with benefits. Some of you still may not know what friends with benefit is. This is where you are not married and you need a sexual release, but you don't want a relationship, but you need a sexual release, and you can call a friend to benefit you by give you that release, and there is no obligation in the relationship. But you could have more than one friend with benefit, and you could have the more than one friend with benefit because the person may not be available at a point in time, but the person should not get jealous because there's no relationship of essence between the two people. You are just a booty call. You are just a person that the person needs a top up, just like a cell phone. And that top up is going to last for a certain period of time, and you just don't have rollovers, so you're going to have to top up again. So that also increases body count that people may have. So I want to give, and hopefully I should be able to cover 7 issues that this poses in relationship from studies that have been done. This is not by happenstance, this is not by guess, this is what they have studied. Whenever there's a high body count, says those who have studied, there's a higher risk of divorce and relationship instability. I want you to get that. Whenever there's a high body count, there's a higher risk of divorce and relationship instability. And you can, I mean, information is so available now, you can actually source the studies that are on board. So they did a study that showed that individuals with 9 or more premarital sexual partners have the highest likelihood of divorce. We're going to talk about what causes that. So even when they have come through childhood issues, trauma, religion issue, personality issues, once you have 9 or more, so those of you who counted your body count, and you, I don't know how many of you would have given your count, and your count is more than 9. Hodge said he never had sex. Hodge, well, don't consider that to be something to be daunting. Yeah, that's not something to be ashamed. Yeah, you are still pure, virgin, untouched, untarnished. Not too many men could boast about that. You see, everybody shocked at Kenneth. No, let me tell you, I have met some men who, because they have not met a woman that they are willing to settle down with, have not had sex because they're not playing that game at all. So it's a fallacy to think that all men have had sex and all men, that's all they want is sex. There are some men really holding it out. And I've met women who are up in their ages, 30s, 40s, who have never had sex because they're not playing that game. They're not going and give it to any and everybody. They want to do it the right way. So I don't want us to make them feel as though that something is wrong with them. Yeah? Kudos to you all. Right. So, yes. So here's why they said that they have had fewer divorce. And when you don't have a high body count, and when you have 9 or more, then you increase your chances of divorce and relationship issues. They said, because after having sex so often with so many people, your ability to attach emotionally and intimately becomes negatively impacted, because it is now a routine transactional act and not an act of love and affinity. Because you can't love all of those people. You can't love 20 people. The Bible says no man can love 2 masters or have 2 masters. Either he love one and hate the other. You cannot love 2 people equally the same way at all. So let's get that one straight. So having 10, 15, then there is an attachment issue, because one of the things that attaches a woman to a man, whenever she climaxes, a hormone is deposited inside of her that makes her feel emotionally attached to this man. And that is why sometimes your first lover might be one of the hardest for you to overcome. And then after that, you've been able to break up with somebody and not go through the kind of trauma that you did with the first one. And the same thing with a man. When a man climaxes with a woman, the vasopressin is deposited into his system that attaches him to that woman that made him feel so nice. But when you have done that so often, then the impact of that drug, that hormone, that chemical, that thing in your system does not take root. So you have difficulty forming attachments, and that would have an impact on you being in a genuine love, intimate relationship with somebody. And that's one of the reasons why they said that divorce becomes quite possible. The other thing is that when somebody has many partners, they begin to compare acts in bed. It's hard to have been with somebody who made you scream, made you, well, I don't want to become too, the SQ word, SQURIRT, for those children on, made you go that far. And you have had that experience with the person, and you've had that many times, and then you are married to somebody, and that doesn't happen. There's going to be a comparison, and that comparison says this person is not as good as this person. So people are married to somebody but have memories of better sex with somebody else that they've had, and that comparison, when you have only one partner, you don't have to make, because you don't know what somebody else had. And if you had a low partner rate, you also don't have it so crucial. That's what the research said. I hope you all understand it. And then thirdly, it lower relationship. You are not as optimistic in a relationship. You have a lower expectation in the relationship, because you've been in so many relationships and came out of it that it's almost become a routine that you're going to go in and come out of a relationship. So you don't have an expectation to stay in or to stay within this relationship. Stability is abnormal. Instability becomes normal. You all get me? Alright. I hope you all do. Alright. Nothing if people who are virgins or non-virgin try to be celibate, single dating, or want to be with someone. I'm not too sure. Is that a question, Rose? Nothing if people who are virgins or non-virgins try to be celibate, single dating, or want to be with someone. I don't understand the question, so you could try it again. Those of you who just joined us, you can come in. This is our last segment for the year, so you better get it in, my people. Alright. So we did deal with that high risk of divorce when you have a high body count. Those with 0 to 1 body count before marriage, they said that they have a lower divorce risk. They are more likely to stay in a relationship. Does not mean that they don't ever come out or don't ever want to come out, but they are more likely to stay in the relationship because it's all they know. I will take it that there are some people, because they've never had a partner before and they're in a relationship, they become curious after marriage and saying, I wonder what it would be like to have it with somebody else. And they go and explore. And then they realize that the one outside is different from the one inside. Well, it depends on which one is sweeter. And that is where the trouble starts after that. Alright, so you have fewer comparisons and so therefore lower dissatisfaction. You cannot be dissatisfied with something that you don't know what is the other thing is. If I'm driving a car and this is a good car, it takes me where I'm going and where I'm coming out, I can't get dissatisfied if I don't know of a faster car, a car with more luxury, with air condition and better suspension systems and all of that. I don't have that to compare it with, so I will be contented with what I have. Same thing in relationships. Okay? The second thing that they said with whenever people have a high body count is that there is a greater risk of sexual sexually transmitted diseases. Right? And that is understood. It's understood because if I drive above a certain speed, the faster I drive above that speed, I have increased my risk of crashing or getting into an accident. Will I get into an accident? I can't say. You can't say if the person is going to get into an accident, but the risk has been increased. Because the faster you go, the more it is difficult to control the vehicle. If you understand that, then understand the more you have sex, the more you increase your risk of sexually transmitted diseases. And again, do not think that if you therefore have two partners or one partner that you would not get it, because you can get it from one partner. You can get it even if you don't have a partner. You can probably get an infection from a needle when you just go to do blood works or something that could cause it, right? So it is just the increase of risk that we're talking about because of your sexual so chronic infections, complications in women, also because of the high sexual activity. And there's a pelvic inflammation disease in women, HPV related cancers. Did you know you could get cancer from a high sexual I don't want to say hobby, high sexual activity? I think I will go with that. High sexual activity could give you cancer. Read it up. So the lower the body count is, the lower exposure you have, fewer sexual partners you have, the fewer viral reactions that you'll get. You lower your risk overall. Right? Now this does not mean that if you go with one or two partners that you don't need to use protection and hygiene and all of these things, because the lower numbers would not save you. There are things that you need to still do to be able to handle your stories. Okay, let me see what people are saying there now. If you have questions, people, feel free to ask your questions and share with them. Oh, nothing wrong. Hillary, you're coming in late, man. You need to listen to the beginning of the program. Nothing wrong if people who are virgins or non-virgin try to be celibate, single, dating, or want to be with someone. Alright, yes. Rose, I get it. You are right. Nothing is wrong with somebody who is a virgin or non-virgin if they want to be celibate. And some people call it recapturing your virginity after you've lost it. Meaning by that they're going to stay away from sex and come back. Well, once your virginity, once you lost it, you lost it. But I mean, you can try to stay away from it and come back to your celibacy, if you want to put that. So some people choose, there are people who are virgins and celibate, non-virgin, who may choose have relationship with no sex, nor lips kissing, maybe until marriage with same person or not. Okay, so they're not having sex and they're not having kissing on lips. I'm tempted to ask, what about those who say, well, I'm not kissing on lips, but they're kissing elsewhere? But I digress. I ain't going there. They would not have me and say that I see. Okay. So, I give you two. Greater risk of sexual problems, higher divorce rate in people who have a high body count. And listen to this. This third one is a lower perceived long-term partner value. In other words, for somebody to choose you their perception is likely to be that you would not be a long-term partner bringing value into the relationship. Now, it is a perception, and perception is not necessarily reality, but we all have perceptions. So they did a study across 11 countries, 11 different countries, and people consistently rated individuals who have high partner counts to be less trustworthy. But tell me, wouldn't you? If somebody comes into your life and say, well, you know, I had a woman, men. A woman said, you know, I've had sex with 15 men. But I love you, and let's get married. You going to just close your eye and marry that woman? Wouldn't you wonder whether she going to give you a boot? Whether she wouldn't give you a jacket? And the same thing with a man. Ladies, if you know that this man had children all over the place, if you know that this man has had 20-something partners, wouldn't you have a trust issue? That's the perception. The higher the count. Now, if somebody say 2-3 children that they had, or 2-3 partners, you will have a bit of a trust issue, but it would be at a lower level. But they tell you they had 55. You're not going to close your eye on that. So the perception is also already compromised. You also will consider that this person is not going to commit. Even if they start, they're not going to commit. And also you'll tell yourself that this person is not stable. Because why is it they keep changing partners like that? Why is it they keep having more and more people in their relationship? How many people trust a prostitute? And I'm not putting a value on a prostitute here. I'm saying because of a high body count that inherently is in the business of prostitution, would you have a problem in trusting? Would you have a problem of commitment? Some people do. But it also comes to the point that the majority of people would have a problem. Alright? So you think that the person is less stable, less suitable for marriage. Now notice that. In the 11 countries, they said that the person is less suitable for marriage. It doesn't mean that they're less suitable, because some people will go with them. Because I'll tell you, there are some guys, once they know a girl giving it or handsing it up, they want that girl. And the girl perceives that she is therefore in high demand. But she might not be in high demand for marriage. She's in high demand for sex. So, as my friend told me today, I don't know, wait, I'll let me partner on today. My friend told me, if you buy a car and the mileage is high, you will have a problem if you're going to buy that car and you see that mileage is very high. You tell yourself the wear and tear is too much. Too much. I don't know what Joe was talking about. Joe said, Jesus, Lord. I don't know. Why calling the Lord's name in vain, Rose? Is it necessary for spouses to tell each other about their body count prior to getting married? Aha! My people are going to let the audience answer that, Christelle, before I jump into that. So you all try and answer that for Christelle, please. Christelle is asking, is it necessary? Should I tell my partner how many people I've had sex with before I get married? Nice question that. I'm going to let all you think about that. I'm going to take a short break and I'm going to come back. Okay. Is it necessary? Is it compulsory? Is it prudent to tell your partner how many partners you've had before you got married? What say y'all? Christine. Hey, Charmaine. Charmaine, I'm looking forward to seeing you on this side of the globe, my girl. Charmaine says honesty is the best policy. Alright, Joseanne say if they ask, you should share. I like those two answers. If the person asks it because they're interested, and if you have had a high body count, I think you should hands up that information. I want to go with Joseanne on that one, so that the person can consciously make a decision. They are getting into a relationship with somebody who has a high risk in a number of areas. That does not mean, remember what we said at the beginning, that does not mean the person is a bad person. So you could find that that person could be a wonderful husband, wonderful wife from there on. When, let me tell you, in the business that I do as counseling, there are people who have had some really, to use a phrase of my brother, jacked up life. But they overcame it. And the way how they operate in their life now is far different from the way they were. We can't judge a person by their history only. You got to judge them as they have now become, because we are human beings. So we are being somebody new every day. Alright? So if it is high, tell them. If it is low, tell them. I don't see myself going in and say, you see a girl and you like a girl and say, you know, I've had sex with 6 people. But I don't see that. But I could see it coming in that the person wants to know, they ask, and you surrender the information. So as Charmaine says, just be honest. And if the person loves you and they want to stay, fine. If they decide that they want to leave, then just be their friend. Shania, let me say what Shania says. Shania says, I think they should state the count. However, there could be a possibility of not telling the truth about the figure. True, because the only person who has the facts is the person who's telling you. Yeah. So, alright, Charmaine. Yes, we're glad that you're coming in a day early. That's nice. So, Charmaine is saying you should look at the diseases that the person have contracted. Should a person divulge their sexual health before they get married? And I think that is what Charmaine is intimating to, that the person you're getting married into should look into that sexual health. It will be good to go and get your STDs test done before you actually get married to somebody, especially in today's time. There are people who know they have issues, they know that they are suffering from things, but either willfully keep it silent or they're too ashamed to say it, and an innocent person gets caught up in the melee. Yeah, I think it is just fair that the person enter it with their eyes wide open than letting them come in clouded because you are hiding the secret. If you really love them, just let them know. Alright? So keep the questions coming, my people. And those who are late, rock and come in. Rock and come in. This is the last program for the year. The last one for the year. Alright? Any questions you have, just let me know. If people want to call in, they could also call in. The number is on the screen. That is also the same number you call if you want private and confidential counseling. Let me see all the people who messaging me here. Yeah. Instead of people sending private messages. I can't read the private messages now, my people. You should be sending it on the chat. Let me see. Alright, but thank you. I will chat with you all after. Alright. So what we said? Yes. The perception of value is going to be tainted from a person with a high body count. Compared to a person with low body count, people with lower counts are seen as more committed, although they may not be, but they are perceived as more committed. Because you could have a person who appears committed, but is really having a high body count outside. Or they may not have a high body count with the numbers of persons, but they might be having sex a lot with somebody else on the outside. So they may appear more committed, and more loyal, and more selective. So, that is, there was something I was going to tell you there. But we are talking about people who have a lower body count that may appear more committed. I was thinking about, I was listening to a man on radio. He's a Muslim. And he said, we as Muslims are just the same as Christians. And I said to myself, but Muslim belief and Christian belief is two different things. We are fundamentally, diabolically opposed in many areas. One of them being Muslims agree to marry 4 and more women. Christianity is one man, one wife. And a number of other areas. So I'm interested in listening to him saying that we are the same, we are very similar. And he says, we as Muslims have more than one wife. And the difference between us as Muslim and you all as Christian is that we admit it. I shook my head. I shook my head. He says both of us have more than one wife. Muslims and Christians have it. But the Muslims admit their situation. Okay. So I hope we answered the question that was asked. That from Shania. And the one that was asked by the one Shamin was saying that reveal your sexual status. I agree with that. Hard as it may be vulnerable enough to share it. Alright, so let's go on now. Number 4. For those who just came in late, these are the things when you have a high body count. 1, you have a higher risk of divorce according to this study. That leads to instability in relationships. 2, you have a greater risk of sexual issues because you have high mileage. 3, you have lower perceived long-term partner. You are not perceived to be a long-term partner type. That value you would have lost in the perception of other people. They will figure that you're not going to stay, you're going to move on again sooner or later. There's a man in the Bible who married a prostitute, Hosea, and she had given up prostitution and got married to him. And I don't know if it's because of the high body count. Sooner or later she left him and went back to her prostitution and said, my man and them giving me all the things I need. Me oil, me flax, and me this and me that and so on. And he had to beg his children to go and call his wife to come back home. And she said, no, I'm not coming back home. The perceived long-term stability of somebody with a high body count. That's what happens. You must read the book of Hosea, people. You see, somebody don't even know that Hosea is in the Bible. They thought was somebody are talking about. Alright. You see, we need to understand Bible. So, We go to number 4 now. Increased chance of emotional detachment is going to take place, where they avoid becoming emotionally attached. Why? Because they've been having sex bonds you to somebody. But if you have been sex and you keep binding to somebody over and over, and you take chewing gum and you keep sticking it, pulling it off, stick it and pull it off, sooner or later the chewing gum not going to stick. It taking up too much dirt on it, that the stickability has been lost. So there's a difficulty in bonding. That's what the study says. So the report says that they have a problem in staying long in a relationship. They are emotionally numb. So they are in the relationship, but somehow they don't feel in it. They don't feel felt. They don't seem as though they are fully engaged in it. And they ask themselves, why is it this person doesn't seem to connect? Why is it we don't seem to connect? Probably they may be emotionally numb. Maybe. I'm not saying that that is it, because there could be so many other reasons. Because if you're abusing the person, you don't expect them to feel emotionally connected to you. Right? So, the person who's in that situation, also tends to associate sex with pleasure and not with intimacy. Intimacy is this closeness I feel to you, this affinity that I have with you. But somebody who has a high body count, they are coming into bed to enjoy themselves. And if they don't enjoy themselves, then all fall down, literally and figuratively. So that's why. So frequent casual encounters only reward short term, because dopamine is a hormone that is deposited into your body that makes you want to repeat a behavior. So those who take in dope, those who take in drugs, after the drug wears off, you want to repeat and feel the high, so you go and take a next dose again. Dopamine is what is deposited into a person when they feel that sexual connection with somebody. But if you have done it often enough, the frequent casual the one night stand, you meet somebody in a function and you just go across in a hotel room, you had sex, you don't see the person again for a year, and you do that again with somebody during carnival. You had sex with them because you were high during carnival, you drink, you enjoy yourself, you had sex, and you're going like that. That dopamine does not help you in a long-term relationship. It just makes you want to feel for sex now and horny, and once you get that, that's all you want. You want a hit. So it trains the brain towards newness, a new partner. To have a long-term partner, it becomes mundane. And a lot of people say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Why? They no longer feel connected, so they need something new again. And a lot of guys get into relationships because they want a new feeling in this relationship. And they say when it's compared to people with low body count, there's a correlation between strong attachment to partners, because you have a low body count, so you feel attached to the person. You have better trust. You have a better trust in the person. You have a clearer emotional boundary of how you operate with each other, and you associate sex with love and not sex with pleasure. You associate sex with love. That's what they say. Alright? We're down to 8 o'clock. Let me see what people are saying. You all want, I could give you all probably 2 more, as today the last one. Let me know if you want that. Adhesive properties become, what is that? Like it is. Okay, it disappears. All right. Let's see now. So if you all have been enjoying the program for the year, only give me some hearts now. Show some things up in the air. Let me see that. Hey, you know, give me some hearts. If you like it. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. And let's see if we could do better next year. What if one person has a high body count and the partner doesn't? Where does that relationship stand? What if the person has a high body count and the other partner doesn't? Where does the relationship stand? I think it is possible for that relationship still. You have some trust wounds to heal, because you'll have a suspicion that the person may be looking elsewhere and the person may be unstable. You'll have the issue about whether you could compete with the other sexual partners that the person has, so you do it to be able to perform and you don't do it in order to be able to express intimacy. But if they sit down and work it out, I've known of people who marry people who have low body counts, or marry a virgin, and the person who they marry to is a person who has plenty experience and they still make it. So it all depends, Charmaine, on the people's maturity to go forward. But I think it is possible. I don't want people to think it is hopeless. Hillary, when one gets baptized, God gives me a clean slate. He whip away my past sins. So why you should come into my life and demand me to tell you about what God forgive me of? No way. Leave the past in the past and start with now. Okay. Alright. Alright, Hillary. You go, girl. And if that works, then fine. No problem at all. Alright. Can Kenneth say go to 12? 12 o'clock, or give you 12 reasons. We are going to 12. Alright. Let's go to number 5. The 5th reason concerning body count. I will just give you these here. Probably 2 more, and then we will close it. So studies show that people with sexual partners that are high sexual partners have a greater sexual regret, and they also have the identity confusion. They say they usually regret all of the people that they to have had sex with so many people, because sometimes when they meet the person, some people in their history, there's shame, doubt, self-doubt, and so on. You can't watch the person in the eye because 5 years ago you had sex with this person. Or you might go to a function and inside of that same room, a number of people that you would have had sex with. Or people who knew you were with these people. Your spouse may feel shame that they're in an event, they're in a community, whether it is in church or what have you, that in the same church, in the same congregation, there are 3 or 4 people that you were with in the congregation, or at work. You see, so it brings shame, doubt, it damages your self-worth. What do you expect in a relationship? So that confusion about relationship expectation. What should I expect if I'm in a relationship with somebody who has had a high body count? And then some people look back at the past and they think about the past, the number of people that they have had sex with in the past, and so on. So, and this mental stress, regret, penitence, really comes especially in people in religious communities, people who settling down in their church life. They feel a burden of shame and guilt when they look back at the way how they've had sex with so many people, so many different partners, and sometimes so many same-sex partners, etc. It is not a nice feeling that they go through. And that's why we have to be patient with these people and help these people to be able to go through what they're going through to be able to recover. Because some people could be consumed by their guilt. And then there are people who would not forget you for being in that way. And even if you have changed your life, you joined church, they say, as we say. So you join church and you have that kind of life, they don't forget you. And they don't want you to forget it either. So, and then those who later desire marriage, and now that they're settling down, they have a little shame that they're settling down now to settle down with one partner, knowing their history. So, they said people with fewer sex partners have less regret and a strong sense of sexual identity and clarity. Let's go to number 6. A large body count often means exposure to different types of sex. Backshot, helicopter, oral, a set of different sex, because you've had a high body count. So you've had variety and skills and positions, different body types, a fat person, a thin person, a strong person, a shapely person. So you have had all these different type of body styles and so on. So you have a lot of comparisons to make and a lot of things that you don't like. Scent of the person's body, scent of the person's oral hygiene, etc. So you have all those comparisons going on, and emotionally intense in some cases and casual connection in others. So that comparison that you have now with your partner, let's say you settle down with your partner, and I know that people have told me that their partner is so routine, their partner is so run-of-the-mill, while their extramarital affairs or their partners before they were married, there was such excitement, there were such exploits. But then you're married now, and it has to be done the same way in the same bedroom at around the same time. When your partner's on the outside, when you're taking risks, you're in the back seat of a car, you go inside of a bush, you check into a hotel. So that kind of espionage and suspense and so on brings a little trigger to it. And then you're with a partner who doesn't do some of those things and don't change positions and don't give you different places in the house, etc. You all know what I'm talking about. Alright? So I'm not talking to naive people, I'm talking to big people here. So, and that makes now that person who has a high body count to feel dissatisfied with one partner. And that's why the research says that stability becomes abnormal for that person. Because newness, a new partner creates new excitement. Because you lose the excitement with somebody who you stay with for a long time. So with a low count partner, you don't have much to compare with. And then we go to number 7, and then we'll close it off with that. There's a higher chance of negative sexual experiences when you have high body count. It increases statistical exposure to manipulation. Why? Because remember, the person has a value component, how they see somebody with a high body count. So they may very well manipulate that person, treat that person a certain way, but also you may find that that person betrays you quite often with different people. Violence comes in there, coercion comes in there. So the statistics of these people going through these sort of things, sometimes when you find that there's a murder that takes place, especially a murder against a woman, you might find that it might be, and it's not always, but it might be because the man find that he has had number of different men, and because of that, violence takes over. I'm not justifying the violence, I'm explaining the violence. You might find also that one of the reasons why women who apply for divorce, 80% of the chance of divorce is applied for by a woman. And you may find it is because of the high body count of a man, that she can't take on all of the horning that she's been taking. So that could cause her to also go. So that negative issue comes in to play, that causes the person to want out and say, listen, I've had enough. So those emotional baggage, etc. So there you have it, my dear people. I've given you 7 things to consider, and I hope that you all have enjoyed the program for the year, and I certainly did. I enjoyed having you all and enjoyed being in your presence weekly. Yeah. Oh yes, Hillary. Yes, Hillary was saying that. Yeah, you shouldn't be asking for it because the person has been forgiven. Yeah, you could be forgiven, but you really want to know what you've been forgiven of. If a woman is getting married to a man and she found out that he went to jail, I know that he went to jail. He might come and say, well, I asked God for forgiveness for going to jail. But she may want to know, yes, and okay, but I want to know what you went to jail for. You understand? She may want the detail about it. That is to Hillary, who says that whatever God forgive her about, that it's in the past. And I'm not opposing you with that, because if that could be worked out, then fine. Then just move on. Okay, my people. Thank you very much. This has been Mike at Night for 2025. I wish you all the best. You all have my telephone number. If you want private counseling, feel free to contact me. And don't wait until your situation is in crisis proportion. Get help while it is. Private and confidential. Whatever part of the world, because we can do it online, we can do it face to face. Whatever it is. May God bless you all. You missed some. You love the topics. Thank you very much. You could go back and get the rest. Okay, my people. Alright. God bless you all. And we'll see you in 2026 if God tarries. Charmaine, I'll see you on this end. And those who coming up for the ladies session.
bridge to the border. This is how we do it, cause we talk the truth to power. Walking in the spirit, walking in the water. Happy that we blessed. Full 100, walking in forgiveness. Full 100, healing from disease. Full 100, totally redeemed. Full 100, strength to the youth. Full 100, friendly with the truth. Full 100, free from oppression. Full 100, always on a mission. Full 100.
I'm glad you know my name. You set my heart aflame. You set my feet on a solid rock to stay. I'm glad I've made this choice. You've given me a voice, and now I can rejoice.
Watch this groove. They call me Mr. Diligent. When me ways are please the Lord, I'm dining with the president. Thankful for the warriors who praise me through the testament. Praise me through the testament. Praise me through the testament. Everything we put we have to doing it full 100. Time to praise the Lord, we say we praising him full 100. Working in the ministry, we working it full 100. Working it full 100. Working it full 100. Everything we put we have to doing it full 100. Time to praise the Lord, we say we praising him full 100. Working in the ministry, we working it full 100. Working it full 100. Working it full 100.
I'm glad you know my name.
Jam production.
You set my heart aflame. You set my feet on a solid rock to stay. I'm glad I've made this choice. You've given me a voice, and now I can rejoice.
Thank